Yeah, greetings everybody. This is Wesley Pepper. This is the Art Lexcia podcast, and this is just give me a second. Sorry about that. Hi, greetings everybody. This is Wesley Pepper. This is the Art Lexia podcast, and this is episode 164. Yeah, and if you're new to this channel, greetings to everybody, and to my new and returning listeners, much love to everybody. Yeah, I think that's it with regards to the. I've got. I said this last week. I've got a few announcements, but shit, man, yeah, some things just take a bit longer than I thought. So I'll make all those other announcements that I said on social media. And one more thing. Oh yeah, I'm on Threads now. Actually, I downloaded the app yesterday. I think I'm tired of Twitter. Um, yeah, I think we're tired of that platform now. So yeah, you'll find me on there, and I'll add all my social media handles. I think on the channels page. So anyway, this morning we're talking about the Kaza Kamba festival taking place on the 14th to the 17th of November at the Market Theatre, and I'm blessed to have the artistic director Greg Homann with me this morning. So Greg, my brother, first and foremost, good morning and welcome. How are you?
Good morning, Wesley. I'm good. It's good to be with you.
Thanks, man. Thanks for taking time. And yeah, these technical things happen all the time. So it's actually no stress. It's actually something I shall do an episode with it in the future, just to talk on how on the tick on network problems across the country. It's all over. But
Yeah.
anyway, we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about the Kazakamba Festival, which sounds great. It's a Pan-Africanist festival, which is right up my alley. And so let's just start off beginning there. Can you just tell us how the festival was conceptualized, the various partners, and what's it about? And we'll take it from there.
Yeah, sure. So it's a festival that came to us through Bobby Rodwell, who some of your listeners might know was involved in a very successful production we did earlier this year called Katanga January
Mm.
17,
Yeah.
which was a new theater work that looked at the assassination of Patrice Lumumba, as well as the role of child soldiers, and it used sort of personal testimony. And at about the same time that Bobby Rodwell started to speak to us about that project, she also mentioned her interest in wanting to do a Pan-African festival. And what she didn't know is that at the same time, we were also lining up a production that commemorated the centenary of Robert Sobukwe's birth, which will be the 5th of December this year.
Yeah.
So it felt like a really great synergy of trying to align both the Pan-African Festival that she wanted to do alongside the other curator on that project, which is Lesego Rampolokeng, and aligning it with our own production of a new work, which at the time didn't have a title and was only in development. So we've aligned all of that together, and we now are at the process of launching the Kazakamba Pan-African Theatre Festival, which, as you said, will be with us from the 14th to the 17th of November. And it's just a great opportunity for us to put a spotlight on some of our, particularly this year's SADC partners,
Yeah.
and other theatre makers, filmmakers, spoken word artists, and to create a dialogue around what it means to create Pan-African work, with the complexity of doing that, and also just celebrate some of the stories that live on our doorstep. So it's just, yeah, it's a really great initiative, and we're hoping that this will be the start of a annual Kazakamba Pan-African Festival at the Market Theatre.
Yeah, great, man. So you guys say that there's other countries, other SADC countries involved with it. Who are they, and where are they from?
So there's a series of countries, as I say, mostly from SADC. So we have a Zim-based production called Molly Street, which is a play that is based on a sort of some might say cultural myth, some might say sort of the real life story of a woman who lived in Zim in a small town, and who after she passed, people continued to see her in the street. So much so that eventually the street that she was being seen in became known as Molly Street. So there's Zim involved in that production. We've got a production from Mozambique as well, which is kind of a music experience, and has a kind of instrumentalist traditional musician involved, called Ventani Nafase. Who performs alongside Horatio Mezuzah and Rafael Vilanculas. So that will be with us as well. We have some films that position some work around the Congo and also the Namibian genocide between 1904 and 1907.
Yeah, man.
And then obviously there is our own work from our backyard as well. So it's quite a mixed sort of array of work that's on across the 4 days. It encompasses theatre works, it encompasses some music,
Yeah.
and it encompasses some dialogue and an exhibition as well, plus our production of a new work that we commissioned around Robert Sobukwe called Love and Revolution. So of Love and Revolution. So it's a real sort of mixed program and an exciting program that sort of puts a spotlight on the SADC region for 4 days.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds great. Just before we get, I wanted to actually talk about the partners involved in this. But before we get there, can you just tell me, since you say there's not just theater, there's also music, there's also spoken word. Can you just shed a bit more light and just more details on that? Like, how many theater productions are there, and the variety of the different shows that you showcasing?
Sure. So the kind of key music event will be Mogorosi who meets Rampolokeng. So it's called MoRa, and that'll be on Friday, the 15th of November at 7:30. And the work puts together drummer Tumi Mogorosi and poet Lesego Rampolokeng together. And a music ensemble as well that includes three vocalists and a tuba and a trumpet and a percussionist. So that'll be our kind of big music event in our John Kani Theatre on Friday, the 15th of November. There are then 3 theatre productions. So there's our production of Love and Revolution, which is the work around Robert Sobukwe, which is in the Barney Simon Theatre, and that plays every day it plays Thursday and Friday at 7, and then on Saturday at 3 and 7, and on the Sunday at 3 o'clock. And then there's the production from Zim called Molly Street, which is the work that I mentioned earlier. And then there's the other work, which is the work from Mozambique, which is the multi-instrumentalist work that I mentioned. So those are kind of the theatre works that are on, and then there's also 2 films, the documentary around the DRC, and the work called Skulls of My People, which is a film about the Namibian genocide. So yeah, and then there's also some workshops which are also all free, and in fact most of the events are actually free, except for the theatre productions and the music production. So if people visit our website, markettheatre.co.za, they'll see a listing of the full program, and they'll also see that certain events they do need to reserve a ticket, but some of the events are entirely free. And then, as I say, the theatre productions and some of the music work does have a cost attached to it. But we've tried to keep it, at a kind of really affordable rate. And we hope that it'll just be a sort of an opportunity for people to spend a weekend with us, or at least a full day with us, experiencing work from the continent and engaging in discussion and really kind of meeting and networking people who are maybe like-minded and are really interested in exploring the stories that we sadly don't have enough opportunity to tell, because sometimes the economy and the kind of producing aspect of getting work like this to the market theatre, like some difficult just because we don't have the robustness and the scale of resources that times some of our Western partners have in financially making something possible. So this is a really great opportunity to kind of try and correct some of that inequality that we experience in some of how we have to program across the year.
Yeah, interesting. Greg, tell me, man. And this is yeah, this is a follow-up question on that. You were saying there that there's not a lot of resources to keep producing these type of productions. Do you guys at the Market Theatre see there's a need for more Pan-Africanist theme based whether it be music, theater, or poetry? Do you see a guy is there a major audience for that versus something more soft or more like a telenovela or more the soft type of productions?
Mm. Yeah, I mean, our mandate really is to program across the diversity of the country.
Yeah,
And the diversity of the country obviously includes a huge component of people who live and work and have made their home South Africa, even if they come from other African countries. So there is an audience for it, there is a demand for it. And starting with Katanga January 17
yeah,
and then now Pan-African Festival, and certainly going forward, we're constantly looking at how we connect the stories, not only of our South African stories, but our stories of what it means to live in Africa today, what the politics of that is, and really kind of tell the experiences that we have of living today in Africa. So it's a really important part of our programming. As I said, often we get to, I was on the National Arts Festival Artistic Committee for 3 years, a few years ago. And we often had these really great projects with other potential African partners, but so often we hit a dead end because when it got down to kind of just the financial aspect of how we're going to make it possible, or the logistics of visas, which sadly just don't work out in our favor.
Point.
Because of how those sort of historic injustices have kind of played out in terms of access and freedom of movement and so on. And we don't hit the same obstacles either financially or in terms of kind of logistics. So the more that we can establish this kind of work as part of our regular programming, and that we just make doing this work part of our daily programming and our monthly programming, the better. So as much as I'm really pleased that we're doing a Pan-African festival for 4 days, what I would really like us to be doing is work that speaks to the African continent, speaks to Pan-Africanism, on a monthly and regular basis.
Interesting point. Yeah, man, just take us a little bit back. I was going to ask this in the beginning, but then I, got a bit sidetracked. Can you just explain to me the partners behind this as well? Behind the festival?
So our primary partners are working with Bobby Rodwell and Lesego Rampolokeng, and through their company, which is Mamello Maya, or Eye to the Sun. And they're the same partners that we worked with on the Katanga January 17. But what they have done is really broker various other partners, which we're not directly involved in as the Market Theatre, because Eye to the Sun are sort of the lead partners on this. But they've brokered various sort of relationships with the various artists, with the producers, the directors from Zim, from Mozambique, from in terms of screening the films from Namibia and the Congo and so on. So it's really a kind of collective effort of going, all right, this is how long the piece of string is we have. How can we make this work? And I suppose because it's a short, concentrated moment of doing 4 days, it makes it much more manageable for us to think about getting a production like Molly Street here from Zim for 3 or 4 days than thinking about how we would do it for 3 or 4 weeks. Obviously, as I said, like we want to get to a place where we can play this work for seasons and runs and have it in our theater for 3, 4, 5 weeks. But for now, it's just that kind of concentrated moment, and putting a spotlight on it allows us kind of financially financially to achieve this in a short amount of time. And really, Bobby Rodwell and Lexcia have been the driving force behind making all of this kind of possible around. And hopefully more long term we can attract partners and funders who understand the value like we do of doing this kind of work, and then hopefully grow the festival, possibly even grow the length of the festival, and also broaden the kind of quantity of work that we've got. Although I must say, I think for the 4 days that we have, we've really quite full and exciting program that Bobby and Lesego have managed to line up.
Fantastic, man. Greg, I wanted to ask a sort of a follow-up question, and I read this article, I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago. I think it's about the Artscape Theatre in Cape Town, where they are no longer selling food, or there was this debate about selling food at the event. Since your event is pretty much the whole day, you kind of need to keep your audience there. Is there any other things that is food, drinks, other stuff for kids and so forth to keep people at the festival for the whole day, lunch and so forth?
Yes, absolutely. So what we managed to do last year is I led the theatre through a refurbishment, and we've managed to do quite a great refurbishment. So if people haven't visited the Market Theatre for a while, if you do come and visit us now, you'll see that our spaces have all kind of had a bit of a facelift. We also turned one of the spaces which was adjacent to the entrance to our building, which was known for years as the Khramadula's restaurant.
Yeah.
We refurbished that. We knocked through what used to be the kitchen. We've created a really great island bar. And we've now got this really wonderful multifunctional space, which some of the talks and some of the engagements through the Kamba Festival will be in that space. But to answer your question, what we've also done, and again, Bobby Rodwell has been key in this, is broker an arrangement with a service provider who's going to provide food with us for the festival. So because the events on the Thursday and Friday start sort of quite late and really right into the evening, we won't be having food on site on the Thursday and Friday evening. But from the Saturday, because they're full day events and workshops and discussions and theatre productions and the films, on the Thursday and on the Saturday and the Sunday, there will be food available in our Khramadula space. And people will be able to buy food that is also kind of connected to the African continent. So the food and the service provider that Bobby is working with is like really well aligned to the tone and the feeling of the work that's going on in the spaces as well. So yes, Thursday and I keep saying Thursday, Saturday and Sunday, there will be food available to buy connected to our Khramadula space, both at lunch and at dinner time.
Yeah, short man. You mentioned about something with workshops, and I see that the workshops are also for free. And you've also got a special colloquium on the 17th. Can you just shed more light on the various type of workshops? What you guys will be hosting and so forth, and who's going to be hosting these workshops?
Sure. So there's 5 workshops available in total across the 4 days. The one workshop is called How Do I Take an Idea to Production, which Mokgatsi Mokgonyana is going to be leading. So Mokgatsi, some people may know, he's done a bit of work with us over the last 18 months. He was the co-director of Congolose Commanding Commissars, which was a new play that we did last year, written by J. Bob Shabalala. And he was also the director of Poetatype, which we did earlier this year. And he also was the co-winner of the Standard Bank Young Artist Award for theatre last year as well. So Mokgatsi is a young and really dynamic director, and he's going to be leading a workshop along the ideas of how do you take an idea and realize it in production. Then there's going to be another workshop called I Am Pan-Africanist, but Am I? And how does it affect my art? So Zandi Khadebe is going to lead that. So Zandi is from Black Collective. There's a dance workshop by the Madagascan choreographer Gabi Serenufia. who is a choreographer who also had a piece with us last year, and she's working very much between Madagascar and South Africa. So there'll be a dance workshop led by her. There's a workshop on traditional Botswana music and telling, which Tefo Paya and Tabang Molefe is going to lead. And I think I'm leaving one out, which it escapes me right now. You know that there's a kind of quite a really great range of workshops that are across different sort of forms of theater making,
Sure.
of art making, from dance to music to theater making. And as I said, all of that, if it's not on our website now, we're busy loading it as we go, and people will be able to kind of access that. And then they just need to draw a ticket or make sure that they follow the link to secure their place for those free workshops across the 4 days.
Short, man. Yeah, sort of in closing up, can you tell us a little bit, like, I saw there that there's I think it's what's this thing? On block bookings, if you have more than 10 people, a discount
Yes.
for more than 10 people. Can you just explain to us, is that only for children or adults, for that type of thing? How does that work?
Yes. So, I mean, most of our events that are to be paid for, except the music event. So, except the music event on the Friday night called MoRa, that work, the ticket price is slightly higher, but I think all the ticket prices are 100 Rand for the work that is being charged for. So in fact, the 10 or more booking is what we usually do on other events, but because we've taken the decision with the Kamba Festival to basically make all of the paid events, with the exception of the one music event, a flat rate of 100 Rand. So the 10 or more doesn't really apply, because we're already kind of giving a kind of reduced rate across the board.
Yeah.
The 10 or more on the music, I don't know offhand, but usually what happens with our 10 or more deal is that you get the kind of best possible rate, and the details of how you contact us. You would need to contact AnthonyE Ezeoke, who is on
Just
our
give us
audience
that,
development officer.
just give us those details, who to contact, the email address and
Yeah,
so forth.
so cool. So let me just double check that I've got the right details here. Give me 1 second and
Yeah.
I'll find them. Um, Not so easy to find at short notice. Okay, I think I'm getting there. But yes, so you can call, I hope, here it is. Yes, you can call AnthonyE on 083 246 4950, or you can email him on AnthonyE at markettheatre.co.za, and that's Anthony TH. So AnthonyE at markettheatre.co.za. Yeah, he can help with bookings of 10 or more and kind of give the best kind of rate. And I think that most probably in this instance will only apply for the music event, because as I said, everything else across the festival, if it does have a ticket price attached to it, it'll be a flat rate of 100 Rand. I should add that the work that we're doing, so the work around Robert Sobukwe that we're producing of Love and Revolution will be 100 Rand for the duration of the festival, and then our usual ticket prices will kick in, because that production actually runs all the way through to the 8th of December. So we run it up all the way through, and it has a full run with us. So if people don't catch it at the festival, they are able to catch it up until the 8th of December. And then they could also use AnthonyE's contact details for that if they wanted to get a 10 or more deal on that production.
Okay, man. Thanks for that. This is in closing. And this is a question. So on this podcast, I've been covering how artists have been dealing post COVID with everything, how the processes has changed, audiences, art, and so forth and so forth, and how they're using technology. What I'm really interested to know, and I covered a few productions this year, including January 17 as well, and the one early on. I can't remember the name. But anyway, what I want to know from you, man, is how has the audience changed post-COVID? Has there been an uptake in people coming to theater, and is there more data around that? So, in other words, maybe people identified like a potential new market, and is there other like we're talking a lot about costs and flat rates and so forth, and do those things factor in? Is that a factor in the equation as well?
Yeah, so I mean, it's an interview in itself. But in short, there are a few things that have changed. So kind of audience behavior has shifted.
Mm.
So one thing that happened post-COVID is that I think the start time for a theater go out for something like a theater show has become a little bit earlier. So
Interesting.
we used to start shows at 8, 8:15, 8:30. Now all our shows pretty much start at 7. Obviously for the Kaza
Interesting.
Kamba festival, because it's a festival, there's a range of different
Mm.
start times. But generally now we start shows at 7 o'clock. And audiences are quite happy with that. Whereas before the pandemic, 7 o'clock felt early for some people because I think they sort of would go home,
Mm.
they would change and settle in, and then maybe try and grab something to eat before a show. Now they often arrive earlier, so the kind of behavior has shifted in terms of a recovery of audience numbers. I mean, we've seen a really great take up of the offering that we have over the last 18 months to 2 years. Um, we've had some really great successes with shows that have sold out multiple shows. We're seeing audiences coming on a Thursday and a Wednesday, which was always a difficult sell for theater because
Yeah.
often people think that sort of it's not a midweek thing to do, but
Yeah.
we've seen good audiences. It's hard to work out whether that's an energy for people just wanting to be in a space and
Mm.
enjoy the fact that they can now be in a live space with
Mm.
other people, often strangers, and kind of share the communion of watching a story, which I think
Mm.
is what theater offers above other mediums,
Mm.
and is quite appealing in that sense, and was something that I suppose we just could not do for almost 2 years. So it's hard to work out whether it's that sort of need to kind of be in a space, or whether it's just maybe the programming that we're offering, which is kind of really excited people and has been sort of energizing the space. And then I think artists have really done amazing work post COVID. I think part of that has got to do with the fact that people had a lot of spare time. There was a lot of space that they just couldn't work, they couldn't
Yeah.
do things, which, as much as that was financially really tough and
Yeah.
put people in really difficult positions, it also meant that some artists lent into creating work and thinking about work and conceptualizing work. And so the kind of work that we're able to do post-COVID really feels like it's been energized by the challenge of having time to think
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
what you want to say and why you want to say it and so on. So my sense is that there's a kind of quality of work that has benefited from the the space people have
Mm.
had, and I understand and absolutely acknowledge that that space was really difficult and
Yeah.
not a fun thing for many people to go through, but it has given artists an opportunity to kind of just take stock of what they're doing and stop and think, and create in a way that they feel is meaningful and that is really telling the important stories and is touching their hearts and their minds and kind of engaging an audience. So there's been lots of I think positive rebuilding after the pandemic, and mostly things feel like we're in a kind of exciting space at the moment where audiences are coming back, artists are wanting to create really brilliant work that they've taken time to think about,
Mm.
um, and we're enjoying having people in our space a little bit earlier, and sometimes spending a little bit more time with us afterwards because they're not feeling like it's that late and they have to kind of rush home.
Mm. Interesting. Interesting. Great. Thanks like that, my brother. Just in wrapping up, can you just for those that maybe missed it earlier in the conversation, can you just give us the dates and times, especially for the major marquee events?
Yeah, so the Kamba Pan-African Theatre Festival is with us at the Market Theatre from the 14th to the 17th of November. It runs Thursday to Sunday, with the Thursday and Friday events mostly starting sort of late afternoon into the early evening. The signature kind of key event is uh, um, music concert, which is MoRa, which brings together Tumi Mogorosi and Lexcia Rampolokeng. It's 30 on Friday the 15th. We have the opening of the festival along with an exhibition, which I didn't really touch on, but there is a Robert Sobukwe themed exhibition that sits alongside the production of Love and Revolution, which runs from the Thursday night and is available all through the festival. And then there's the workshops, which are available across the festival, as well as the two film screenings as well. So people should really just visit markettheatre.co.za. Check out the information that's there. If the full program is not there yet, it's because we're just sort of sharpening and refining a few things. But keep revisiting the website. Most of the content is there already, and people can book through Webtickets. And we look forward to welcoming people to the Market Theatre for the Kamba Festival.
Yeah, and that's a wrap. I think we covered 100% of everything there. Thanks a lot, Greg, man. Thanks a lot for the time. And all the best for the festival. I will publish this episode in next week, and I'll be promoting on all my platforms, of course. I also chop these episodes up into the shorter formats, into like a minute to a minute, 20 second clips, and I push that as well. Those are also very effective, actually. That'll include all these the details and information and so forth. So yeah, all the best for the festival, and thank you for coming through, man.
Great. Thanks, Wesley. Good to chat to you.
All right, my brother, man. Thanks, man. Cheers. Bye bye.
Cheers. Bye.